I want you to picture a very specific kind of quiet. You're in a small town, deep in the mountains of Japan. It's winter. And the snow is coming down so thick it just eats sound.
It's like a blanket over everything.
Exactly. It muffles the cars, the wind, everything. It's that perfect, quiet postcard image of winter.
Until, gravity decides to get involved.
Right. Because we're not here to talk about a postcard. We're here because of a specific incident. A shopping arcade. One of those old covered Shotengai where the snow on the roof just gets too heavy.
And the whole thing just gives up.
It collapses. A huge crash of twisted metal and snow right in the middle of a place people walk every day.
Yeah.
And, normally you see that on the news and you file it away.
Yeah, you think weather story or aging infrastructure.
They should have shoveled the roof.
Yeah.
End of story.
Mm.
But the source material we're looking at today says, no, it says if you think this is about snow, you're missing the point completely.
We're looking at a document called GOA-16. And it's not really an article, is it? It's more of a structural analysis.
It's unsettling. It really is. Because it argues this collapse wasn't an accident. It was a symptom.
A symptom of what is the question?
And the answer it gives is huge. It says this is a symptom of a nation that has lost its ability to end things.
To design withdrawal. That's the key phrase.
Designing withdrawal. That sounds like military jargon.
It does. But the document frames this as a kind of collision. On one side, you have Japan's national operating system, the laws, the culture, the bureaucracy, that's all built on a linear assumption.
That things will just keep going, keep growing.
And on the other side, you have a nonlinear reality, shrinking population, climate change, aging. The OS says continue, but reality is screaming stop.
Since the OS doesn't have a stop button.
The only way things stop is when they physically break. The withdrawal only ever appears as an accident.
Okay, let's stick with the incident itself for a minute, because the details in GOA-16 about what happened after the collapse are almost more revealing. The roof is down, it's a disaster.
Mm-hmm. Logically, you send in a crew, clear the rubble.
You would think. But that's not what happens. The work just stalls. The rubble sits there.
For days, then weeks.
So why? Is it money? Politics.
This is where it gets really messy. They can't find the owners of the shops, or the owners are in their 90s in a nursing home, and they can't physically sign the paperwork.
So it's a legal problem.
It's a reality problem. The people you need to make the linear bureaucratic process work are absent or incapacitated. And while this is happening, the public reaction is, exactly what you'd expect.
The noise. Why isn't the city doing something? Don't use my taxes on private property.
It's the owner's responsibility, all of that.
Which, to be fair, those seem like reasonable questions. If a building is a hazard, isn't that someone's job to fix?
In a world where the map still matches the territory, yes. But GOA-16 basically dismisses all that noise as irrelevant. It says the snow wasn't the cause.
It was the exposure device. I love that too.
It's a perfect metaphor. The weakness was always there, in the dark. The snow just flipped on the light. And to explain it, the source brings up this concept of the cognitive geographic membrane.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Let's unpack that one.
It sounds academic, but it's simple. Think of a membrane, like a thin film, holding two things together. On one side is geography, the physical reality, the mountains, the heavy snow, the hardware.
Right.
On the other side is social cognition, the software, the expectations, the habits. The young people in town will clear the paths. The shop owners will maintain their own storefronts.
So for a long time, the hardware and software were in sync. The people could handle the snow. The membrane was tight.
Exactly. But what the snow exposed is that the membrane has peeled apart. The geography is the same, maybe even tougher with climate change. But the social cognition, the people, has changed. The young people are now 70. The shop owners aren't there.
But the mindset is still stuck in the past.
Yes. The mental map still says this is a community where we take care of things. But the physical reality says there's nobody left to do the work.
It's like a phantom limb. The brain is sending signals to an arm that isn't there anymore.
And the collapse happens right in that gap. That's the rupture of the membrane.
Which brings us to this idea of controllability. Because my first instinct, reading about the legal mess with the owners, was, okay, so just change the law, give the city emergency powers to tear it down.
The logical, linear fix. And the source says that's a trap. It calls it the misrecognition of controllability.
Meaning we think we have control over things that we just don't anymore.
We mentally sort the world into two domains. The source calls them the operable domain and the inoperable domain.
Okay, so operable is what?
The world of paperwork, Holding meetings, stamping forms, hiring contractors, sending legal notices, all the things we assume we can do. The bureaucratic levers we can pull.
Right. There's a problem, so we'll form a committee.
But the inoperable domain is physical reality, the snow that keeps falling, the simple brute force lack of human bodies in that valley to do the work. It's not a labor shortage you can fix with higher wages. It's an absence.
So even with an unlimited budget, you can't hire ghosts to shovel snow.
Exactly. And the glitch GOA-16 points to is that the system is frantically pushing buttons on the operable control panel, but those buttons aren't connected to anything anymore.
It's like trying to steer a car that's already off the cliff by fiddling with the radio. You're doing something, but it has no effect on the outcome.
That's a perfect way to put it. And it's not negligence. The people in charge are working hard. They're just applying an old map to a new and very different world.
So this is the pivot. The document says this isn't about one town. It's about the national OS of Japan itself.
The core thesis, this idea of Yamanai not quitting, the virtue of continuing.
Which we normally see as a good thing. Resilience, endurance. That's a national strength, isn't it?
In a growth era, it's a superpower. When the population is growing, you don't close the school, you build a new one, you keep everything going because tomorrow will be bigger.
But we're not in a growth era.
We're in a contraction era. And the source says Japan's OS has this fundamental design flaw. It has no code for termination. It knows how to start things, how to maintain them.
But not how to stop them.
Or, more accurately, the act of stopping is seen as a kind of moral failure. The document makes these comparisons to other places that I found really clarifying.
Right, let's go through those. The U.S., a factory closes in a small town. What happens?
The market handles it. It's brutal, but it's clear. The factory shuts down, people move away, the town shrinks, it's painful, it creates a rust belt, but the signal is explicit. This is over.
Okay. And Europe?
Europe manages it through rules and dialogue. They have big, slow, bureaucratic debates about managed retreat or degrowth. It takes forever, but there's a language for shrinking.
And China?
Top-down authority. The state says, this area is being turned into a reservoir. You are all moving. Withdrawal is a command, a cut.
So then you get to Japan. Why is it different?
Because here, withdrawal is culturally synonymous with defeat.
Boku.
Stop. Defeat. That's such a heavy word.
It carries shame. So you can't talk about it politically. Can you imagine a mayor running for office on a platform of, I promise to close the library and stop plowing the side roads?
They'd be committing political suicide. You run to build things, not to close them.
Exactly. So you just pretend. You delay. You keep the zombie infrastructure on life support. You keep patching the roof, knowing it's not enough.
Until gravity wins.
And that's the punchline of the source. Withdrawal appears only as an accident because it cannot be designed. It just happens. Things run until they crash.
That feels so passive and inevitable. But then the document throws in this massive twist. It says, this isn't true for the entire state.
The phase gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, this part is fascinating. There's a split brain situation.
So the national core, we're talking defense, diplomacy, cybersecurity. Right. In the planning rooms of the self-defense forces or the foreign ministry, they do have a language for this. They talk about mission limitation or strategic withdrawal, non-response.
Well, it's non-response.
The choice not to react to something because your resources are finite. They know they can't defend every single island. They prioritize. They have a logic of limits.
So the concept exists. It's not like the words don't exist in the language.
The concepts exist in the brain of the state. But that logic has not been translated down to the body, to the periphery. Your local town hall, your regional road department, they're still running on the old OS.
The OS of maintain everything, everywhere, forever.
Exactly. The brain knows resources are shrinking, but the body is still operating on this muscle memory of infinite capacity, and there's no translator between the two.
So while the strategists in Tokyo are thinking about limits, the people dealing with the actual collapsing roof are just told to try harder.
It's a huge disconnect. The center lives in a world of strategy. The periphery lives in a world of maintenance.
And this whole time we've been using snow as the example, but it's not just about snow, is it?
Not at all. Snow is just the illustration. The real issue is things like healthcare.
Oh, that's the big one.
You have the oldest population on Earth, fewer doctors and nurses every year. The linear OS says every town must have a fully functioning hospital, same as in 1990.
But the nonlinear reality says that's physically impossible. There aren't enough people.
Right. So do you have a national conversation about it? Do you design a strategic consolidation? Say, okay, we're closing this smaller clinic so we can create a regional super hospital?
No. That would be admitting defeat, abandoning people.
So you keep them all open, but they're running on fumes, doctors are overworked, equipment gets old, and then one day, a ward closes suddenly because the last specialist retired.
Withdrawal by accident. There it is again.
It's the same pattern. The source calls it a phase mismatch. It's not really decline. Decline sounds gentle, like walking down a slope. This is more like gears grinding.
A linear gear trying to connect with a nonlinear one.
Yes. It works for a while, and then the teeth just snap. Because the state can't publicly say, we will not do this anymore, the system just drifts until it hits a physical wall. The collapse is the decision-making mechanism.
This brings us to the end of our deep dive. And usually we try to find some kind of takeaway, a solution. But GOA-16 it refuses.
It explicitly says it's too early for solutions because we haven't even really named the problem yet. We're still mentally living in 1985.
So instead of answers, it leaves us with these huge open questions.
Yeah.
And I think we should just let them hang in the air.
I agree. The first one is, what would it take for the state to finally say, we won't do this anymore? What's the threshold for reality to finally win?
And the second is cultural. Can withdrawal ever be framed as a design choice instead of a failure?
Can stopping be seen as a strategic victory, not a shameful defeat? Can a leader be a hero for closing something down to save the whole?
And the last one is maybe the most important. Who acts as the translator? Who can bridge that gap between the core that understands limits and the periphery that's still expected to do everything?
That's the missing piece. How do you take that cold strategic logic and make it something a community can understand and accept?
It's heavy stuff, but it does change how you see things. The next time you see a bridge that's been temporarily closed for 5 years.
You know, it's not just a delay, it's the system buffering, waiting for an accident to make the decision for it.
I want to leave everyone with the final line from the source because it's really stuck with me. If a nation cannot design its own withdrawal, it is destined to contact reality only through accidents.
The collapsed roof wasn't the movie, it was just the trailer.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
See you next time.